Alright, you guys, ZFR back here again today, and boy oh boy, this Gillette ad is sparking a lot of controversy right now, and you boys know I had to come back just to fight the SJWs for the first time in about a month. It's been a second, right? You know, we gotta keep on them with this, you guys. You guys know I'm a big believer in that. But anyway, before we get any further in this video, obviously just a warning, this video is probably going to trigger some people. Not everybody's going to like what I have to say in this video, and that's perfectly fine. There are a lot of angles on this. I might not cover everything. Some of you might see it a way I don't. You know, feel free to disagree in the comments or whatever. Hit the dislike button if you gotta do what you gotta do. But overall, we are going to talk about this. Second warning, this is going to be a bit of a longer video, but I'm going to try my best not to ramble and not to lose track of the topics. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's start to break down this Gillette ad. At the end, we'll talk about my overall thoughts on the ad, and I'll kind of round everything up in a summary. So if you don't want to listen to a whole video, there will probably be a little summary section at the end. Alright, let's get into this. Alright, the first thing about the ad I want to go ahead and cover is the cyberbullying point that they make very early on. You know, you see the kid hugging his mom because, you know, he's getting cyberbullied at school or whatever. He's got a lot of kids sending him some mean stuff, and I want to talk about this because, you know, growing up where I went to school, pretty much everyone got bullied at one point or another, even the bullies. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Stuff like this is always going to be out there, especially when we're talking the internet. On the internet, people have the freedom to say some of the most wild stuff, so there is a limit at what they can say and can't say, but that limit is pretty darn far away. So, you know, people can get away with saying a lot of horrible stuff on the internet, and people can even get away with saying a lot of horrible stuff in real life. But here's the thing. Where I run into a problem with this ad is this ad kind of goes on the point of men, and it does this constantly. Men, do better. Stop doing this. Stop doing this. Don't do this. This, that, the third. Teach your kids not to do this, which is great. That's a great lesson. But what you have to realize is there are always going to be bad people and bad things out there. It doesn't matter how many of you rally around and say we're going to make this change, we're going to teach our kids not to be bullies or stuff. There's always going to be people who don't. There's always going to be that bully at school, right? There's always going to be that bully after school. And in those situations, you have to really remember the logic. And I don't know if people just haven't been taught this little rhyme growing up like I was, but sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That is something I am seriously thinking people have not been teaching their kids lately. And let me tell you, that saying has gotten me through a lot of situations where I was able to just be the bigger man and walk away without my feelings being hurt or whatever when people try me with crazy stuff like this growing up. So, you know, that's something my parents taught me, and that is something that helped me a lot because, listen, it doesn't matter how much it's frowned upon, there are going to be people that do it. You know, people pick sides and stuff. What if the kid and your kid gets into some kind of argument, but the other kid has more friends and your kid's new at the school? His friends are going to side with him whether he's doing the right thing or not. You understand me? And your kid is going to have to know how to just leave that situation and not let it get under his skin like that. So yeah, this ad really kind of it makes it seems like all of the world's problems are just supposed to go away and everything's going to be alright, when that's just not the case. There are going to be bullies. This is why men traditionally teach their sons to be tough. This is why, because we don't live in some fairy tale land where the world all of a sudden turns good. And I understand that it should be better than it is, but it's not like that. It just isn't. And that's where I run into my first problem with this ad. And I'm going to get into bullying a little bit later, but we'll swing back around and touch on bullying at a later point in the video. For now, let's move on to the next thing this video covers, which is the bird calling of females, or disrespecting females in public or whatever. I guess what people would call sexual harassment nowadays. I don't know. It seems a little extreme, but let's just talk about it. So the next part of the ad kind of goes over to this once again, and this is what SJWs do. They try to make mountains out of molehills. Like, they go, like, this is such an extreme example. Like, so in this example, you have a guy walk up to two chicks, and he's like, I think he says something like "smile, baby" or something like that. And listen, I don't agree with it. I think that's kind of a weird thing to just walk up and say to somebody. I think the dude's a weirdo off the bat, but personally, I do see why people say it is somewhat disrespectful. I completely agree on that. But then this is where it goes kind of far. You got this other guy come out of nowhere and say, "Really, man, chill out." Okay, listen. One off right now. This is none of this other dude's business. Like, the black dude walks over. It's not really any of his business. You know what I'm saying? Unless that was like his sister or something, which the two girls over there clearly don't look like his sisters. But, and I'm going to get into this in the next example, but overall, it wasn't none of his business. Now, now sometimes guys say stupid stuff like this, like once again, I don't agree with the whole "smile, baby" thing. I think that's something you absolutely should not say to anyone, right? People, it's their face. They can do what they want with it. Alright, and I do think it is a little weird to just walk up to people and say that. But at the same time, that person has a mouth of their own. Women want more equality, right? In today's world, this is where equality comes into play. In that situation, a woman should open her mouth and stand up for herself. And she could have said something like, I don't know, "no thank you," or just been like whatever, or just brushed them off. No. You know what I'm saying? But this ad is telling you as a guy, if you see one guy make a mistake and say something weird to a girl, or say something wrong, you should go, or something that you deem wrong, or whatever, or maybe even it's just a little rude, you should automatically go over there, get in between that guy and that girl, get up in his face, or whatever, and stop him from doing it. This happens with the next example, and I'm going to talk about why this is such a bad thing in a second. This happens with the next example. There's this really pretty girl walking down the street, right? And I use pretty to be a little modest in this. But let's be honest, she's wearing the tight shorts and the tight tank top. I'm just saying, people are gonna not like me for saying this, but I'm just saying, if you walk outside like that, men like women. I don't know what you were expecting to happen. I don't know what people expect to happen if you walk outside like that. That's just the honest truth. And listen, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying that you can't dress how you want or do what you want. I'm just saying, don't expect to do whatever you want in life without any consequences. Everything has a reaction, everything has a consequence. If you can't handle the consequences to certain things, well, then that just shows you that you shouldn't be doing those things. Like, if you walk outside looking like this chick, all my ladies out there, if you walk out there looking like that, listen, you're gonna get a couple guys that try to talk to you. And the thing is, in this example, the dude wasn't even that far out of line. From what I was seeing, it looks like he was just going to try to say something to her, like. But once again, I found it so like, this is where this fake woke stuff comes in. I find it so funny that they have the black guys swooping in, being the heroes for this section of the ass. Like, I'm not going to listen. We're not going to talk about that. I'm going to leave that one alone because that's a much deeper thing. But anyway, so getting back to this. Like, he swoops in, and one thing that he does that's a big no-no for all my guys out there, he puts his hand on the other dude. Guys, and once again, I'm going to get into why in a second, but just don't do that. I'll explain why, alright? And if he puts his hand on the dude, he says, dude, not cool, and he basically, cock blocks him in this instance. And the thing is, you don't know if that dude was going to say something crazy. You don't know if he was going to. He could have said something charming. He could have said something nice. He could have gave her a compliment, or something like that. And who knows? He might have turned around, been interested. You never know. You just jumped in, and to be honest, it kind of makes you look like a little bit of a jerk or whatever, or all high. You're up there acting all high and mighty, like you've never done the same thing, or you're never going to do the same thing. So yeah, right off the bat, I don't really care for that ideology. For that, I can't even say it right now. For that ideology, I can't say it. Screw it. I know what I'm trying to say, but I'm tired right now, guys. I've had a long day at work. We're not about to do it. But I don't care for that ideal, right? All right, that's basically what I'm trying to get at. But anyway, so that getting on to the whole why this is such a bad idea when it comes to reality, by the way, is this could cause a fight. I don't know. Once again, people are living in this fairy tale land. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying this is something that should happen. But what all my young men, grown men out there, whoever you are, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're younger than me, older than me. What you need to understand is if you get in between a guy and a woman, or a guy and a girl, in the wrong way, you're already kind of getting on that dude's bad side instantly. But if you go that extra step and you place your hands on him in that moment, I'm just saying, things could go wrong for you. I'm just saying, unless you're really down to be out here fighting or throwing hands over some chick you don't even know. Alright? Like, I don't know. It sounds like BS to me. It sounds like bad advice. It sounds like not such a good idea. Especially when these girls, they're walking around here with feminism. They're demanding equality. They're demanding more respect and stuff. Well, they should know how to open their mouths and stand up for themselves. They don't always need you to jump in for them. Now, if it got out of hand and this dude was over here putting her hands on her all kind of ways and stuff like that, and you jump in, that's a bit of a different story. But if it's just talking and nobody's being overly rude yet, it's not getting heated or anything like that, then I really don't see what you're getting in these other people's business for. To me, that's just my opinion on the matter. But anyway, moving on. Alright, and now we have an example of good old mansplaining. And here's the thing. Mansplaining is a real thing. I have seen it in real life. But let's be real clear. Because once again, when you're talking about SJWs, they like to make mountains out of molehills. They like to blow everything up as this big, crazy thing, when in reality, it could have been solved very simply. I've seen situations where, of actual mansplaining, where a guy, thinks he has to explain everything to a chick just because she's a woman. He's condescending about it, maybe a little bit rude. I've seen it happen before. I've seen it with my own eyes. So I'm not denying that it's not a thing, or that's a thing or whatever. But I do want to point out that there's overreactions to it at certain points. Like in this video, so it looks like they're having this big corporate meeting. It looks like this chick, let's just call, what should we call this chick? Let's just call her let's call her Becca, right? That sounds like a good one, right? That sounds like a good guess. So it looks like Becca just gave a pitch of some kind in this meeting, and her boss and everybody around kind of wasn't getting it or whatever. Her boss stepped in and said, well, what I think she's trying to say is, and he goes on to explain for her. Now here's the thing. In this situation, in a situation like this, now I don't think this really kind of comes across as ultra rude. It just looks like the dude is trying to help her out. Maybe he's going the wrong way about it, like if he goes on to give the whole presentation for her, then that kind of sucks. But at the same point in time, she should try to jump in and take her presentation back. Like this is where feminism and all the equality and stuff that women want comes in. Speak up and make your voice heard in this moment. That's what's going to change things. Because you know what? At the end of the day, that's what a man would teach his son to do in that moment. It really is. And this is something that has to happen with a lot of people. And listen, with the whole mansplaining thing, it happens to everyone, right? Like, guys get the same thing, not because they're guys, of course. Like, on the opposite hand, it might just be because you're a woman, but guys get the opposite end, where they feel like where sometimes someone at their job, like another worker or employer or whatever, might feel like they aren't good at the job or whatever, or they might just not like them, or think they're confusing or whatever, and they might just try to always explain stuff for them, or always talk over them, maybe always think they don't know what they're doing, and kind of constantly be trying to explain things to them. But listen, you have to learn how to speak up for yourself in these moments. That is the lesson that this ad fails to teach. This ad really fails to teach a valuable lesson of needing to stand up for yourself. This ad kind of gives off the message that, if the world was just a better place if all men just changed their ways and, were more willing to help their fellow man, then someone will always be there to save you. And that's not the case. Sometimes there won't be anybody there to save you. And that kind of takes me into the last example or examples that they give in this ad. So the last couple of clips in the ad kind of go over violence with young men. And pretty much what it's trying to say is the older men, us as older men, need to help teach and set examples for younger men not to engage in violence, not to always solve things physically and stuff, which is good. That's a good lesson. But we're getting ready to get into the problem once again that this lesson provides. So first off, I want to cover the scene with the two little kids play wrestling, because that's one of the most talked about ones in here, and it is absolutely stupid. Oh my god. So are you telling me little boys aren't allowed to play wrestle anymore? That's going to cause them to grow up and become serial killers or something? Like, what is this trying to say? And I remember, because at first I was having trouble finding the full ad. And I remember I saw a clip where I saw the dudes standing around at barbecue saying, boys will be boys, boys will be boys. And with the kids rolling around the ground. But in the clip I saw, it looked more serious than it did in the full ad. When you look at the full ad, these kids are just playing. And it's like, heck yeah, boys will be boys. Like, that's what boys do. Boys aren't little girls. Boys are going to play a little more rough. That doesn't mean they're going to grow up to be bad people or anything like that. And this is kind of, once again, another red flag with this ad. This is just another example of society starting to go down this road of trying to reprogram little boys to be more feminine and stuff, once they grow up, which is kind of disturbing, right? Listen, you can believe what you want. I don't have any problem with gay people or whatever you are. I don't really care. But if someone wants to raise their boy to be a boy and to be a man, and someone else wants to raise their girl to be a girl and be feminine and act like a girl, then there's nothing wrong with that. Let those people raise their kids, as long as they're not raising their kids to be bad people. These two boys are just play wrestling. This is what boys do. This is what boys find fun. And you know what I'm saying? Like, even me as a nerdy kid, I even went outside and did this with my friends. We would play wrestle all the time. Play rough. We would have we would wrestle. We would get some big branches that fell off the trees and play lightsabers, like in Star Wars and stuff. Like, we did stuff like that all the time. Sure, it's roughhousing and stuff, but our parents didn't stop us from being boys. Not unless we were like doing it in the house and they were like, no, kids, take it outside. Y'all know better than that. Or unless one of us was actually in a fight. And this is what I'm saying. And you know what? Never mind. I'll get to that in a second. Because I still got one more thing to cover. And then one of the last scenes in this advertisement, in this commercial, is some guy stopping this kid from getting ganged, right? And his little boy sees it, so it kind of, once again, is that set the example message, which is great and dandy and all that. But once again, what I need people to realize is the world is always going to have bad people, and there will not always be someone there to save you. And this is why so many men are just people in general do value their kids, playing rough and stuff, and are okay with their kids being acquainted with a little bit of roughhousing and fighting. So if it ever comes down to your kid or you or anyone in general having to be in a real fight, you can defend yourself. Because sometimes you might have to. That's not something anyone can control. You know what I'm saying? What if... Now, let's not even point out the fact that this is a really, really exaggerated and random example. For one, if this was real life and these kids were chasing this other kid through the street of like New York or something, or Chicago or whatever, wherever they are in this video, like, are you telling me you don't think men in real life would tell them to, hey, stop that, hey, don't do that? Because when I was growing up, if you were out there outside, playing way too rough or actually fighting, like in an actual fight or something like that, or it was apparent that you were getting bullied, it wasn't going to go on too long if adults were outside. It didn't matter if it was your parent, it didn't matter if it was someone else's parent, it didn't matter if it was some guy that's driving down to visit his cousin or whatever in the car. Some older man would always stop and tell you that, hey, kids, knock that off, hey, stop that, hey, don't do that. That happened all the time when I was a kid. So the fact that this ad is trying to say it needs to happen, more men need to start doing this, it's ridiculous. Because here's the thing, and here's where I want to really kind of land with this video. The overall thing I'm trying to say throughout this entire video is that good men are out here. A lot of good men, more than people would think, with the way the media tries to slander men these days. But what people need to realize is there will always be bad men. There will always be bad women. There will always be bad people in general. Alright? But a good person, a good man, never needed Gillette to tell them to set examples and to be better men. No real man needed that. And matter of fact, I'm gonna go even further stretch and say no man needed that in general. There was absolutely no point in trying to send this message out to men, for the simple reason. You know what that simple reason is? Every man who does horrible things, like be rude and bird call females to a rude extent, like in this video, or be weird and tell females that, hey, smile baby, you know what I'm saying, or to bully someone else, or to just be cruel or whatever, talk down to people. Men who do that kind of stuff understand that stuff is bad. They just don't care. And that's what I really want to hammer home here, because this ad really makes it seem like men are ignorant to what's going on, and we need to make a change. No, listen. Everyone who is good is already good. Alright? Like men who would do this kind of stuff don't care that this ad exists. Men who do that kind of stuff don't care what the world thinks about it. You know what I'm saying? Men who do that kind of stuff are going to keep doing that kind of stuff. They don't care what's going on with all of this social justice warrior stuff, all this Me Too movement. People who are doing this horrible stuff just will not care. Alright, that's what I need to really hammer home. This ad isn't going to change anything. speeches about stuff like what's in this ad aren't going to change anything. The only thing that can make a person change is themselves. Alright? So there's no point in you telling somebody to change if they don't even want to change in the first place. Alright? You know what I'm saying? That, like, this just and because of that, this just overall feels like a shot at men. Like, where's the ad recognizing all of the good men? Where's the ad that praises men for being good? And I know some of you are going to say, well, this ad does that. This ad shows men doing good things. Yeah, because it's trying to say that men don't do these things enough, that men are bad, that men need to change and reevaluate the way they do things. No, listen. No man who does the wrong thing is changing because of you. That's what you need to understand. Your kids, your sons, when your sons are growing up, they're going to come face to face with bullies at some point in their life. They're going to come face to face with bad people that do bad things. And you're not always going to be there to protect them. That's why it's your job. That's why it's our job as men to teach our young boys to protect themselves, to defend themselves, to stand up for themselves. Yes, it's good to stand up for others too. Alright? Like, but what I'm saying here is, no good man needed this ad, alright? All of the men that this ad could have any value to, if you're a man and this ad had any value to you, if you took anything of value away from this ad, I want you to look in the mirror and really think about if you're all that good of a man. For the simple reason, you can't be a good man if you took value from this ad, right? Because if you're a good man and you watch this ad, your response should off the bat be, well, I already do this. You know, everyone in my life that I deal with already does this. You know what I'm saying? Like, and stuff once again, going back to like dudes stepping in, to defend women they don't even know and stuff like that. Listen, it may seem all heroic and stuff now, but this ad is a bit different from reality. You know what I'm saying? Step to the wrong guy in reality with that mentality and see how it goes for you. It might go well a couple of times, but something tells me eventually your luck with that is going to run out. So listen, a lot of people aren't going to like what I had to say in this video. I feel like I didn't even get all my points across as well as I wanted to, but I didn't want the video to be too long. So if we need to make follow-ups on these subjects or stuff like that, or if you would like to hear follow-ups on them, by all means let me know. Talk about them down in the comments and stuff like that, and we'll see what we can do. But overall, that's my full opinion on a Gillette ad. What you consider toxic masculinity is just like, there's a very big difference between toxic masculinity and just masculinity. Masculinity is not bad. Masculinity is what boys are supposed to be taught. Masculinity is what makes men, not feminism. Alright? Femininity and feminism will not teach boys to be men. Alright? So, yeah, that's where I'm going to end it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave likes and comments down below and tell me what you guys think. And I will see you guys on the next one. ZFR out, guys.